Morning dress is the daytime formal dress code, consisting chiefly for men of a morning coat, waistcoat, and striped trousers, and an appropriate dress for women. Men may also wear a popular variant where all parts are the same color material, often grey and usually called morning grey to distinguish it. This is only properly appropriate to weddings and races, and is known as a morning suit. The semi-formal counterpart of this code is the stroller. Morning dress is now rarely worn as anything other than formal wear, as a form of civic dress for example by provincial mayors, but more generally only for weddings, some official civic, governmental or royal functions, social season events for example races such as Royal Ascot, formal lunches and as uniform at some of Britain's most traditional schools such as Eton. History. The name originated from the practice of gentlemen in the 19th century riding a horse in the morning with a cutaway front single-breasted morning coat. The modern 20th century morning dress was originally a more casual form of half-dress, but as the 19th century progressed it gradually became acceptable to wear it in more formal situations instead of a frock coat. In the Edwardian era it took over in popularity from the frock coat as the standard daytime form of men's full dress. When it was regarded as a more casual coat, it was common to see it made with step collars, but as it took over from the frock coat in formality it began to be made with the more formal pointed lapels. Standard components. Outline. Morning dress consists of a morning coat, now always single-breasted with one button and with peaked lapels, may include silk piping on the edges of the coat and lapels, a waistcoat. At formal events this is black and matches the material of the coat. At funerals mourners and undertakers usually are dressed as such and this has led to confusion as termed morning dress and also, but rarely, with additional white slips. A pair of formal striped or checked trousers worn with braces, a shirt. Either a turn-down collar is worn with a tie, in which case the shirt has double cuffs, otherwise, a high detachable wing collar is worn with a single cuffed shirt. This combination is always accompanied now by a formal ascot, as opposed to a day cravat which is different. This is a more formal option most commonly seen at weddings. A plain or patterned silk handkerchief or pocket square may be worn. It is folded and inserted into the front breast pocket of the morning coat. Black Oxford shoes or dress boots, or boots with a horse-riding connection, such as George or Chelsea boot, or galoche top dress boots. Worn with plain dark socks, if the trouser cloth matches the coat, the ensemble becomes a morning suit. The waistcoat may also match, or not. Morning suits will sometimes be a middle-tone grey. Morning suits, especially the lighter tone ones, are considered slightly less formal than morning coat ensembles. The following can optionally be worn or carried with morning dress: a top hat either classic silk plush, or a modern Melusine fur. Alternatively, a top hat made of fur felt or wool felt, is another common option, gloves of suede, chamois, or kid leather. The most traditional color is lemon or grey or white spats, a cane or umbrella, a pocket watch on the waistcoat rather than at the lapel, or wristwatch, a boutonniere. Full description. The morning coat can be black or Oxford grey herringbone wool with the tails of knee length. The formal trousers worn with it are either cashmere striped, or black and white checked. The most traditional colors for a waistcoat are grey, buff, or black. A black morning coat with matching black waistcoat is the most formal option, being worn for funerals, memorial services, civic dress and diplomatic dress, with academic dress, or in government use in America. At social or festive occasions, for example races and weddings, a contrasting waistcoat is worn, usually dove grey or sometimes buff, although there has been a tendency towards fancy waistcoats of multicolored and embroidered materials. Waistcoats may be either single-breasted or double-breasted with lapels. Sometimes a white slip is worn, which is a strip of fabric buttoned to the inside top of the waistcoat to simulate the effect of a paler under waistcoat, though the actual wearing of two waistcoats was obsolete even for the late Victorians. Formal trousers should not have turn-ups, and should have one or two forward pleats to each leg. Braces should be worn to prevent the waistband from appearing beneath the waistcoat. A white stiff collar is traditional, with the plain turn-down cutaway variety standard since the World War II. In this case a normal long tie is worn. Otherwise, a wing collar may be worn. The combination of long tie and wing collar is very dated, so these are paired with an ascot, though even this has acquired negative connotations as dress hire companies used pre-tied or incorrect patterns for many years, which has caused the configuration to be seen as an inferior or hired look. Because of this, Debrett's, for example, considers the ascot and wing collar inappropriate for weddings or morning dress. If the shirt has turn-down collars, it usually has sleeves with double cuffs fastened with cufflinks as standard. If a wing collar is worn, it should be with a single cuff shirt, as in the past a starched stiff-fronted shirt was worn with the cuffs also starched stiff, as well as a starched detachable wing collar, worn with cufflinks and shirt studs. Contemporary shirts often do not have a detachable collar at all. The most formal color for a shirt is white, but if a colored or striped shirt is worn, it should have contrasting white collar. Traditional formal colorings are Wedgwood blue, solid or in thin vertical stripes. Previously, a gray or a black necktie was obligatory. Now all colors are worn. In many clubs and societies the club tie is acceptable to distinguish members from guests at formal lunches and breakfasts. The original silver Macclesfield design is still used particularly with cravats, and is often called a wedding tie. Shoes should be of the traditional, black plain cap-toe Oxford type without broguing, but not patent leather, which is now reserved for evening formal wear. In the Victorian and Edwardian era button boots and Oxford boots were worn, and these can be correctly worn with morning dress today. When worn at equestrian events, boots of equestrian origin such as Jodhpur boots, George boots and Chelsea boots are also acceptable. Spats were once frequently seen with morning dress, but are now rarely worn. Variants: morning grey, slightly less formal, a morning suit can be worn, which has mid-grey matching morning coat, waistcoat, and trousers. Being more relaxed, this is a traditional option for events in less formal settings such as Royal Ascot, and is now often worn to weddings as well. Scottish Highland dress. Scottish Highland dress may also be worn at events requiring morning dress. The morning suit version of Highland dress consists of black semi-formal kilt jacket in superfine wool or barathea. Argyle, Crail, and Braemar-style jackets are suitable. 5 or 6 button waistcoat in black, grey, putty, or tartan, kilt, white shirt with turn-down collar, French cuffs, and cuff links, tie in a single colour, black brogues, tartan, argyle, diced, or dark hose, flashes or garter ties, dress sporran, dress G and dub, occasions. Men wear morning dress when members of a wedding party. In common with court dress, mess dress, and white tie, morning dress is for prestigious and important social occasions. Despite its name, morning dress may be worn to afternoon social events before 5 o'clock, but not to events beginning after 7 o'clock in the evening. The term morning is best understood as daylight. White tie is the correct, equivalent formal dress for evening social events. The cutaway front of the morning tailcoat differs from the evening tailcoat in that the waist of former is cut obliquely while the waist of the latter is cut horizontally, and the tail is cut differently from the swallowtail coat used for evening dress. The skirt waist construction of the coats is equestrian in origin, to ease the wearer's riding his horse. In the U.S., the morning coat is sometimes referred to as a cutaway coat. In the UK, morning dress is worn to certain equestrian events. It is also worn, both in the UK and certain other Commonwealth countries such as Australia and New Zealand, by the male members of a wedding party. Men at upper and upper middle class weddings usually wear their own morning coats and their own ties. On these occasions they may wear their old school ties. It is currently popular in the English lower middle class for only the wedding party to wear morning suits. These tend to be hired and far more coordinated than those worn by their upper middle and upper class counterparts. The men usually dress in identical, hired, outfits along with identical ties, handkerchiefs and waistcoats. In Europe, the groom sets the sartorial tone, the guests may wear morning dress if he does. In the US, morning dress is rare. It usually is worn in traditional weddings and political formal events, although the Reagan inauguration of 1981 was the last use for that ceremony. In the American South, morning dress is commonly worn by a governor-elect when sworn to office. The United States Solicitor General and deputies wear morning coats during oral argument before the United States Supreme Court, as does the marshal and clerk of the court during all sessions of the court, unless they are female. In fiction or popular culture, it may be used to refer, possibly satirically, to a rich ruling class, for example in cartoons. See also, the stroller is a similar, but slightly less formal, dress code, hence not interchangeable with full morning dress. Where morning dress is the daylight equivalent of evening's white tie, the stroller is a formal revamp of the lounge suit and the daylight equivalent of black tie. Notes. Bibliography, Apparel Arts Magazine, an account of 1930s fashion and style. Some issues more relevant than others, such as those reproduced with comment at the London Lounge. Antongiovanni, Nicholas. The Suit, A Machiavellian Approach to Men's Style. HarperCollins. ISBN A978-0-06-089186-2. Flisser, Alon. Dressing the Man, Mastering the Art of Permanent Fashion. HarperCollins. ISBN A0-06-019144-9. External links, Morning Dress Guide, informational site dedicated to formal morning dress only, informational overview of morning wear by the Black Tie Guide.